Hey guys, my name is Chris Daverson, and I'll be presenting in Lesson 14, Future of Work. Lesson 14 was split up into three sections. Track A uh, was called Technological Unemployment, uh, and it emphasized about automation um, and replacing real people. Um, we go into the Frey and Osborne theory. Next is post work. It emphasizes more about something called Ludies, um, a term called that generated a while ago called bullshit jobs, and universal basic income, and track C being meaning and happiness. It talked more about attention economy, uh, Kichi Matsuda, and hyper reality. I'm gonna focus my presentation more about technological unemployment. Um, Technological unemployment is essentially uh, technology taking basic jobs from people, and this is causing a decrease in demand for unskilled workers. Um, Companies are able to save money because instead of having to pay their employee like health benefits, pay time off, and all that, they're able to still accomplish uh, simple jobs or unskilled jobs, uh, if not at a better efficiency and less mistakes, uh, allowing them to save more money. Um, this eliminates what was mentioned in track B is called bullshit jobs. Um, Jobs that essentially don't take too much skill and have really low income. Uh, and lastly, with more automation for jobs, it also brings more government policy, such as like uh, retraining and implementing programs uh, just for the safety of the technology. Consequences, environmentally, well, consequences of automation impacts it environmentally, economically, and socially. Uh, Environmentally, resource consumption. Um, the development often requires extraction of natural resources and could essentially harm the environment if we're not using if we're not extracting we could essentially be extracting too much of that resource from the environment. For energy consumption, with the more automation, it's going to require much more energy, uh, which could could essentially lead to environmental pollution uh, if we're not using it, if we're not pulling the energy from the right sources. Economically, we although we do lose jobs, although we lose jobs, so consider the less skilled jobs, we do see a productivity gain in more high skill jobs regarding technology in those fields. Um, and we do see a skill gap, kind of a bigger skill gap because the higher skilled jobs are growing and the lower skilled jobs are decreasing. And socially, uh, the biggest topic about socially is job displacement, and um, it leads to tons of job loss, and it impacts more of the factory workers because it's not necessarily higher skill jobs; it's just hands-on, quick work. And as I mentioned earlier about the economic or the skill gap, with the skill gap, you do see income inequality. We- Like I said, the higher skill jobs are growing because they're more in demand now, uh, resulting in more money, and the lower skilled aren't seeing that much growth and are essentially losing money. And this can actually cause a social strain on the lower income individuals because uh, they're put in a position where if there's no money, that can essentially affect those individuals mentally, uh, which may cause them to commit crimes such as like robbing people, um, having mental health issues, um, and acting almost out of anger because they're not where they want to be, essentially. And we have a couple questions that we should address. I feel so. The first question is: how will automation impact labor and work in the near future? How will automation impact your particular field and career? The more automation you get, uh, the lesser jobs for the unskilled, and the higher income for the more skilled. I'm going for electrical engineering, and automation is actually perfect because the more technology, it's going to require more engineers. Um, to what extent will automation improve services and user experience? In what areas will automation result in greater services or worse experience? Um, Automation will is perfect. It's perfect actually in like grocery stores, um, and like more interactive things where it's just like quick scans, so you don't have to always go to the like a cashier or anything. And in those areas, automation is really good, but automation sometimes is ineffective when it comes to things that are actually require emotion, kinda. Um, because those robots are just acting based off of their program and aren't taking into account of emotional feelings. If that makes sense. Um, is automation always a good thing? Um, are there areas that we shouldn't automate? I believe automation is a good thing. Um, Automation is meant to help us by simplifying it while still doing it at an efficient rate. And at this moment, I don't think there's nothing that shouldn't be automated. Although the factory workers do lose their jobs, maybe maybe we can lessen that. Uh, yeah, maybe we can lessen that to also still have it like the lower income people still able to live off their for themselves and their families. That's the only thing I could see as that shouldn't be automated. And lastly, some negative impacts of automation. How do we address them? Well, the more we move into the future, it's really hard to stop automation at this point. The more engineers, the more scientists that are coming out, it's just very hard to stop that growth. The only negative I see is the job displacement, but that's it. Um, an example I could provide that actually happened to me about the job displacement. Um, I used to work at ShopRite, and I used to be like about 30 registers, 30 cashiers for 30 registers, and we actually got self checkout. We got self checkout, and we cut that number to 15. So 15 self checkout and 15 actual cashiers, and a lot of people lost their jobs, and also their hours are cut, even mine's, because they didn't really need us anymore, you know. And that's the and it did affect how much I make because since they didn't need us no more, no more, but they didn't need us as much. They didn't have to pay us that much because their goal was to run everything through self checkout. But I hope you guys liked my presentation, and thank you.